gamers? This is Simply Travis and
Rowdy 5000.
And we've been tinkering around with various streaming applications and microphone setups trying to get a Twitch stream going, and have been visited by the old wire gnomes that used to tangle up all the controller cords that existed before the Wavebird controller. And we're stuck. Can't quite figure out how to get out of this, and we've been here for a while. We're slowly drifting into madness because I'm pretty sure the wire gnomes are asking us to entertain them, so we are now recording episode 8 of the Lamer Gamers podcast. Yeah, do you remember, like, back with the Super Nintendo and the NES when your controllers and...
Dude, it was so bad. And then I even had a friend years ago in the 80s who bought or had a Nintendo an NES, like a Nintendo Entertainment Center system, wireless controller, and it was awful. It was like a remote for your TV. Like, it has to be pointed at the TV at all times, and it never worked.
Like the infrared, it would shoot an infrared beam out, and then
it was awful.
And if your hands were in front of it, it would probably just not read. That's terrible.
Ugh, the worst.
So, yeah, and if you don't know, back then, that was a problem. All the wires everywhere.
Ugh.
Okay, so today's episode, we're going to be talking about games we've played recently. Was Fallout 76 worth buying after the trial week update? Spoiler, no. The plethora of gaming collections released. Then ask the question, is it worth it to pick up a collection, or should I get the original games? I'm going to talk a little about my side quest into streaming. Should you get the Xbox PC Gaming Pass? A little bit on Google Stadia versus Xbox Cloud. xCloud?
Yeah, Project xCloud.
Project xCloud. We're going to see how the specs compare on the Xbox and the PS4. We'll also do a deep dive into Final Fantasy VII. And the final topic will be, should game series be stuffed into different game types? So we're going to, think about Mario, for instance, where the Mario series has probably 20 different genres it's been in. So we'll go into that towards the end of it. So Rowdy, what have you been playing lately?
Alright, so Rage 2, I've been playing a lot over the past month and a half, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I just beat that. So then I started diving into old games that I started and hadn't finished yet. I went and I beat Shakedown Hawaii, which, if you liked Retro City Rampage, it's by the same people. Shakedown Hawaii was real fun in the way it played. I went back and played Gato Roboto. It's fun. It's like a real short Metroid ripoff. You play as a cat in a mech suit. Legit. And then I got excited by a game coming out soon, so I went back and played Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. So I'll go into that a little later, but it's like the prequel. It's the prequel for a game that's about to come out. The Kickstarter did so good, they decided to make an 8-bit prequel.
And that's pretty cool. I guess it didn't take them that long, otherwise they wouldn't have released them.
Not at all.
So I've been playing Secret of Mana lately in the collection of Mana. I haven't tried the other games, but Secret of Mana is pretty good stuff. I missed it as a kid.
It was fun, man.
And I'm really surprised the amount of animations in the game that they actually have, because whenever you hit with your sword or something, there's, whenever I think of a Zelda game, there's like one sword animation.
Mm-hmm.
And for this game to have as many cool little animations built in for lots of little things has been nice. I don't care for the hit mechanic, though, where you have to wait till it gets to 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping some stuff happens to make that worth it. Otherwise, it's a pretty cool game. Hit detection's really weird on it, though.
Yeah.
But the story's kind of nice so far.
That's the one thing that got me playing that game years ago.
Mm-hmm. I played Fallout 76. I'll talk more about that.
He didn't listen to me.
It was free, dang it. I regret it, though. They should have paid me. So then I picked up Fire Emblem Warriors while I was out writing curriculum. They put me up in a hotel room for a week, and the internet connection was terrible. So I walked across the wasn't really a street. I was put up in this town square. It was really nice, actually. But I found the closest GameStop and was looking for a game that I could play offline, and found Fire Emblem Warriors.
It's a fun one, man.
It's pretty good, and I think the gameplay in Warriors really works with that style.
I just really like the Warrior series, and a lot of their side games have been super fun, like that and Hyrule Warriors. I like Gundam Warriors. I'm glad you like the Fire Emblem one. You need to try Hyrule.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I'm gonna have to at some point because I really enjoy this one. Mainly, I think though because of the triangle of destruction, I guess, whatever it's called, where swords are better at going after arrows.
The whole paper rock scissors.
It's a paper rock scissors aspect. I like that in games. So that one was really fun. I've been playing Splatoon. Right now, they just had Narwhal versus Unicorn.
Okay.
I was Team Narwhal because I couldn't be Unicorn.
Narwhal's awesome.
So I did a video on with some Narwhal facts, by the way, if you want to check out the YouTube page. So, fun fact, the Narwhal's horn
is actually a tooth.
It's a tooth growing through their face. How metal is that? They're essentially running around with broadswords coming out of their face.
Because they didn't get braces when they were kids.
Get braces, kids. Don't skip the orthodontist. So that one was pretty cool. They have one more Splatfest coming out. Now, what's really cool about this Splatfest, it's going to be Chaos versus Order.
Always Chaos.
Team Chaos looks like it's going to be like punk rock. So I'm going Chaos. I think it's going to affect the aesthetic of the next game. So, because the last one supposedly did. So I really want like a hardcore punk rock Splatoon just for the heck of it. Because the music, if you listen to the music in the game, it kind of skips back and forth all these different styles.
I like the fast ones where they're just
like
blah, blah, blah,
there's
blah,
like
blah.
Keyboards and all sorts of craziness. I'd love that in the game. Those are my favorite songs in it. And one really cool thing, after this final Splatfest, they are going to allow all the special stages playable in private mode.
I actually might go back to Splatoon then.
Yeah.
At that point.
It would be really cool, and we're going to try to get a Game Witness Discord night together sometime in the future. I'll put it on our Twitter to get some more people so we can actually play all these special stages and have enough people in. Normally we can get like I do Splatoon nights and stuff every couple weeks over there, and we'll get about between 5 to 6 or 7 people. If we get 8, we usually start a private room. So, all right. Next thing, I played Surge on the Xbox Game Pass.
Is that the one that's all like, I wouldn't really say steampunkish, but like it's almost like a dungeon crawler, and you're a dude with this crazy looking backpack, like metal thing, or like a mech suit thing?
You start out in a wheelchair.
Okay,
and you go and you choose between 2 different suits, and it's part of this whole augmentation, cyberpunk-esque ideals. And it was kind of fun. You focus, it's third person, and you're trying to hit different body parts off of these robots and steal their parts, essentially. So, like, I chop off this dude's arm, I can attach it to my arm, essentially.
Okay, I think I have that one, for PlayStation that I got on that streaming service that I still haven't looked up the name of.
It was one of the few RPGs that were on the Game Pass, and it looks fun. The controls are really squirrely, though. Like, you have to hold weird button combinations on the controller. So I'm still iffy on that one. The story sounds interesting, but otherwise, I'm not all there for it yet. And I've, of course, been playing Diablo. I can get to Greater Rift 95, but I haven't hit 100 yet. Once I hit 100, I'm going to record the Barbarian episode, or side quest, and I'll release it as part of a YouTube side quest. So, that's coming up once I hit GR 100. Alright, so games that I'm actually looking into and items of interest. I played Fire Emblem Warriors and it got me really, really, really hyped up for Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
So you would like to play Fuego Emblema Tres Casas?
Fuego Emblema Tres Casas. Yes. I'd love to play this game. It's a great way to say it. They should announce it that way.
Fuego Emblema
Tres Casas. How do you feel about this game? Es fuego. Yes. All right.
I love it.
So Fire Emblem, they had a lot of stuff about it on E3, and the game's looking better. The story is looking more interesting than the direct they release. I'm super hyped about it. I, of course, will not be playing in permadeath mode.
No.
But there is a new gaming aspect. One of the characters in the game will allow you to essentially replay time.
Yes, I saw that earlier.
So I guess it makes the permadeath a little easier to deal with. That's really nice. Like if I make a big screw up, because I tend to do that on Fire Emblem.
Well, they said the main reason they wanted to do that is because you know how you play as the teachers and the students for the school? They didn't like the fact that the teachers could watch the students die.
Oh, yeah.
So that was their main reason for bringing it in the... Because it's not... You don't bring it back X amount of like minutes or anything like that. It goes back an X amount of turns.
Yeah. I wonder, it's got to be limited how many times you can do that too, I would imagine. All right, so super excited for Fire Emblem. That comes out next month.
Yeah.
In July. So I'll be picking that up day one. I'm still thinking of that special edition.
This episode's probably going to come out in July.
Your mom's in July. I don't know.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Well, it's going to come out this month. For those in the future. All right. The next thing I'm super excited about is not a game. The Hori Grip controller coming to the Switch. Now, I don't really care that it's Daemon X Machina. Is that what that game is?
Mm-hmm.
Theme. That's cool. But what I have always wanted for the Switch was a Pro Joy-Con. I have bought countless accessories at this point to try to make Joy-Cons comfortable to my man-sized ham-hock hands. And none of them have worked.
Does that thing work outside of dock mode? Or I mean, outside of
It does. I don't believe it works outside of dock mode. So just give you an idea how it looks like. It essentially looks like
portable mode.
I think it's mainly just for portable.
Okay.
So, and there's no gyro built into it. So that's one of the weird things. We're going to talk about that in just a second, how this still works.
You gyro nerd.
So, what they did, imagine I guess a more squarish looking to match the aesthetic of the actual Switch tablet itself. Pro controller. They took a chainsaw and chopped it in half, but much cleaner. You know, maybe they sanded it or something, and you slide it down the little Joy-Con things. It looks comfortable. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about it because I have been like on trips or like on a plane, and man, that Joy-Con after a while, I got to like put my thumbs back at a 45-degree angle away from the Switch to get into press because, like I said, I could eat up an entire controller in my hand at this point.
See, that's why I don't like really playing in portable mode that much. Like I play my Switch mostly in docked TV mode.
And since I'm an old fart now, I mean, I stopped playing the 3DS because it started hurting my hands. You know, some of us that are on the computer all the times are artists. You know, I draw a lot. After a while, that stuff hurts. And I remember years ago, I broke one of my hands. So
nerd.
I got a crack that like grew in the back of my hand, so my right hand hurts sometimes a little bit. Anyway, so looks really cool. Now, one thing that people are concerned about, it of course is not going to work outside of the Switch. I wouldn't want to play with this thing outside the Switch. There'd be no way to hold it anyway.
Are those joysticks? Like, do those stick out, or are they?
Yeah, those do stick out. I was a little worried because the actual pictures of it almost make it look like the sliders from the 3DS.
Okay, yeah.
But they are joysticks. Now, one thing that's really funny is there is a turbo button.
Nice.
Okay, which will be great for Diablo. Oh my gosh. Because there's some parts in Diablo 3 where you are just constantly re-rolling for things. It's going to save my thumb.
Nice.
Also, there's a programmable button. So you can program, like, and let's say you're playing Street Fighter or something, you can program the fireball move and it pop.
Nice. Wait, you can program like a whole button combo?
I believe so. That's what they're kind of saying. So, let's see. Hori used the extra real estate on the grip controller to add a programmable button on the back, which can be mapped to any other button on the controller.
It sounds like it's just a button.
Sounds like that's lame. We'll see what
Well,
happens.
yeah, but I mean that'd be cool to program like the fire button or something like that, so you don't have to like click left and right.
See, I see an assign button. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be a recordable macro setup, because I have like macros on my keyboard to where you do like a recording phase, and it'll replay those buttons. So I'm hoping it's more like a macro thing.
It's for when you play Street Fighter with just a keyboard.
Yeah. That sounds terrible.
It does sound awful.
No, I used it for like whenever I had to do shift control, like ampersand or weird stuff for RPGs. But otherwise, it looks like it's going to be comfortable and actually freaking useful, which is not the Pro Controller. Now, what I was going to say. Gyros. There are no gyros in this as far as I know right now. Now, that is a problem because there are still games that use gyro controls even when you're playing portable. So think of Splatoon 2. You got to use the movie controller if you want to.
Daemon X Machina is definitely going to have gyro
They
controls.
added.
Why would they do that?
Okay, here's why. There is, if you look at the spec sheet, and there was a big thing on the Nintendo Switch subreddit about this,
Okay.
that people were getting ticked off that there was no gyro because then you can't play it. It's like a basic feature. If you look at the spec sheet on Nintendo's official website, there is a gyro controller inside the tablet.
That's what I honestly thought that's what it was to begin with.
So the way the gyro controls, whenever they're actually plugged up, they don't really do wireless communication anymore. From what I understand, I think it's either near field or it's almost IR. It's some craziness.
Okay.
So what I'm hoping happens is that it understands that, hey, there's a Joy-Con connected to me. I need to default to the Switch's gyro. I don't know if it does or not.
Okay.
Hopefully it does. Because that would make games very playable for me, and this is a shoe-in for me. I think it's like $40.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, it's either $40 or $50, but
I'm super excited about this one.
oh man, my wrist and hands. Thank you, Hori. I hope this doesn't suck. So now, if you look up pictures of it right now, and it is on Amazon for pre-order, which I got to smash that pre-order button a little bit. They are going to change the look of it a little bit, make it a little bit nicer feeling. So it'll have some ergonomics work, but man, I want this. So, all right. So, I guess we'll go ahead and talk about what games are you looking forward to.
Look, there are so many games I'm looking forward to. I mean, we just finished E3. I saw a whole bunch on there that I really, really want to play, but I'm going to try and keep it to games that are going to come out within the next couple of months.
Yeah, because I've seen your pre-order list. I think you texted me all the games you've pre-ordered.
I've actually taken some off and added some since then.
Good Lord.
I'll show you that a little later. It's ridiculous.
We need to share that, I think, to the Twitter at this point and just kind of mark out any personal information because it's impressive.
But no, I'm super excited about Mario Maker 2, Ultimate Alliance 3. Was it Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3? Astral Chain. I'm super excited about it. The next game that I'm getting in from my pre-order list is going to be Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
Oh, yeah.
I actually went back and played the Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. Like I was saying, there was a Kickstarter to get Ritual of the Night started, and it did so well, they just decided to do a prequel called Curse of the Moon. And it was actually just prequel lore that they were going to put in the new game. And they were able to make a prequel, an 8-bit prequel out of it. And it controlled just like the original Castlevania games. I'm a huge fan of Castlevania. Like, it got ridiculous around the Game Boy Advance era, and I stopped playing it. But the original ones, totally awesome. And the creative director behind the Bloodstained games is actually the man who created Castlevania. So it's going to be super fun. But I'd like to talk about another game that I'm excited about. We're going to do a little deep dive here.
Put on your goggles and snorkels.
Because this one doesn't come out until March of next year. But I'm super excited about Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, yeah.
But I've done a whole bunch a whole bunch. I mean, I can't even tell you.
Reality's done a lot of research.
How many hours I have looked into this game so far. This game started development before the PS3. When they were showing off PS3 demos, they actually showed one of the FMVs from Final Fantasy VII rendered on PlayStation 3. So think back about how long ago that was. That's how long this Final Fantasy VII remake has been in development. Now, we think about how long Final Fantasy 15 was in development. It was in development around the PlayStation 3. And it finally came out a couple years ago. It was an amazing game. Travis hates them. But it was a great game. So, the reason I'm a little worried...
You know why I don't like it, though?
You don't like K-pop.
Bingo. I mean, it's boy band RPGs.
Well, I mean, had the graphics looked that good back when Final Fantasy VII had come out, that's exactly what it would have looked like then.
Not, but the whole the story revolves around a freaking boy band.
Well,
or at least
it revolves around friends.
Friends.
They're not a boy band. No, you follow Prince Noctis, and the other guys are his friends / royal guards.
That sounds actually a lot like Final Fantasy VIII.
Well, I mean, it is a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah. Isn't it 8 that has the you're going to kidnap a princess and you're in a theater production crew?
Man,
it was one of the ones they released for Switch, and it had like really, really terrible audio coding.
Was that one 8 that you just played, or was it like 9 or something?
It's one of them. While you're deep,
because the last
while
one
you're diving in, I'll look it up.
The last one that I really, really played before Final Fantasy 15 was actually Final Fantasy 6. I skipped out on a lot, even Final Fantasy 7. Like, I watched a lot of people play it, but part of this little deep dive here into Final Fantasy 7, I want to talk about how you don't spend much time.
9.
It was 9? Okay.
I love that the one thing that I found out, Final Fantasy 9
is a bad
port, and why are gamers angry about it? Because the audio encoding was terrible. Okay.
But no, so Final Fantasy 7, I did not play it. I watched a lot of people play it back in the day. I never owned a PS1, but I had friends who did, and they would come to my house and watch Nintendo 64. I'd go to their houses and watch PlayStation 1. But you didn't spend much time in Midgar, the first part of the game that looks real industrial. It's kind of like an area where we're from.
Yeah. You know, where you live more so than where I'm at. But
man, where I live, you breathe in cancer in the morning. You walk
much,
outside.
Southeast.
You have your cup of coffee and a nice breath of fresh cancer.
Yeah, you know, so this isn't quite where I'm at. I'm probably, about 20 miles away?
Yeah.
We live in Southeast Texas, and where Rowdy is more located at is it's honestly the biggest refining area in the world.
It's a very industrial area. There's a chemical plant not far from my neighborhood that is so big it has its own zip code and street set up.
Yeah. It's wild. If you've never been around it, and a lot of people think in Texas all that we have are, it's dirt, cows, and oil derricks. Now, technically, we're at the places where you see the oil derricks, but there are cows, but there's not dirt everywhere. We live in a very forested, swampy area in the armpit of Texas. But yeah, we are in one of the biggest petrochemical refining areas in the world. One of those weird things that a lot of people don't think about. And your area is smelly. I think my wife is from that area.
It's not as bad as like the paper mill.
That is true. It doesn't smell as bad as paper. And it is a lot better than it used to be. Because that was before they had the scrubbers. Or what?
The chemical scrubbers they would put in the tanks before that. Yeah.
It used to be really bad. I remember going to... I went to school at Lamar University, and it was across the street from petrochemicals plant, and it smelled bad. And all of a sudden, like, over a week time, it stopped smelling.
And that's not even the most industrial area.
No. Where you're at is worse.
I mean, where I'm from, it literally looks like Midgar. You drive up and down the streets, and it's just flame stacks and chemical plants, big tanks where all the runoff goes into a lake where they have giant alligators and fish.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla's gonna come from there, man.
Yeah, I mean they reconstitute it and all this other stuff, but yeah, I get what you mean. I'm a little bit further away, and it's just swampy and woods, and the air is nice out here.
Not like
except for
Midgar.
whenever a cold front comes through, and then we get the smells from the paper plants.
But no, the best way to think about all of this is like where I live is like Midgar, and you don't spend that much time
definitely
there in this game. And then once you get out of Midgar, you go to an area that's more Final Fantasy-esque, like where Travis lives. It's more wooded.
Yes, it's pretty.
There's hobbits next door, and
I have hobbits next door.
I don't know. That'd be awesome though.
I want some hobbit holes. The problem with hobbit holes out here is we are right at sea level, and they would drown.
Yeah.
You can't dig down. Like, there are no...
there's no basements in our area.
There's no basements. Like, you would all die.
Yeah.
If there's a tornado, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We don't get tornadoes too often. But hobbits won't work out here. Unless elves would. They could live in the trees, because there's lots of pine trees and oak trees and cypress trees.
But yeah, so like
anyway.
once you get farther into Final Fantasy VII and you get out of Midgar and it goes to a more traditional Final Fantasy area where you have chocobos and everything like that. But the one thing I would like to point out to everybody is in all of these previews that we've seen, we haven't seen anything beyond Midgar.
What? So
I started looking into this after E3 because they stated that they started making it sound like the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be multiple games. Like, the first thing they said it was going to be 2 or more Blu-ray discs worth of data. So I started looking into that because that's a lot of data. I mean, just for one game.
Yeah.
So all I could find right now is that what they are releasing in March 20th, 2020 is Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's only going to take place in Midgar, which means there are going to be sequels to this game. So the scary part about that is that it took them this long just to release Midgar.
Yeah.
Now, I have to play devil's advocate here because they may have developed the whole game. They may have everything already ready to go. But if you think about it, it took them this long just to do Midgar. Mm-hmm. They can't reuse any of the assets from Midgar to do the rest of the game. Because like I said, it's more forest-oriented and open. It's literally going from the future to medieval times. So they have to do all new backgrounds and things like that. They have to do all new assets. Your character models are fine.
So one thing about that too,
is
that speaking of having to do new assets, the Final Fantasy IX remake, I was wondering, why didn't they do all these remakes with upgraded graphics? Because the source imagery should be higher resolution than what's in the game.
It's not.
No, it's not that. They lost. Either they had something go down in their storage, or they lost Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and I believe more than that, storage from those time periods. Because you got to think, that's those time periods, the storage was like on weird...
It's probably like
CDRWs, and then there were like jazz drives, and there was a whole bunch of stuff fighting for superiority. There's no telling what they recorded them on. But, yeah, they lost a lot of that stuff. So that could be another part of it, too, is they don't have the source materials to work from. So they're looking at it and having to recreate it in HD. Now, another thing is there are, just kind of speaking, Final Fantasy IX PC version, the PC port, has AI built solutions to redesigning all that stuff to make it look like it's an HD graphics.
Okay.
So it's actually better to get Final Fantasy IX on the PC and Switch or anywhere else. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, no, but it's just crazy because thinking about 7, like I said, it took a long time to put out. I hope that they already have the bulk of the rest of the game done, but the first part of this series is only going to take place in Midgar, which was a very tiny part of the game. I mean, I have a friend who said he put 70 plus hours into Final Fantasy VII and spent 4 of it in Midgar.
Ugh. So
now, well, I also understand that a lot of the demos that people put out are made strictly for E3. And I'm just, I don't know, I'm trying to be hopeful about it, but it could be a long time before we see all of the Final Fantasy VII remake, which should be called the Reimagining, which somebody did say at the conference, that it's more of a reimagining than a remake.
Well, you look at the play style too, because it's not turn-based.
No.
You can do turn-based.
Well, you have to build up. What is it? Like
Attack.
it's almost like mana. You have to build up mana or whatever, so that you can stop it. So, but that's kind of like the Final Fantasy 15 battle system, to where it's live, and you use buttons to use your weapons, but then you can stop time to focus on everything. Well, on this one, to stop time and use your spells or whatnot, you have to build up this meter. That actually looks like a good, what you call it, a good
compromise. It looks very Xenoblade to me.
You think everything looks Xenoblade, though?
Yes, but it looks Xenoblade to me.
You think the original Final Fantasy looks Xenoblade?
No, I don't. Lies. I wish it did.
Well, wasn't it Square that originally started Xenosaga or Xenogears or whatever the hell it was?
It's a good question, Rowdy.
I'm pretty sure. I think Xenogears was the first one. I'm pretty sure Square Enix had a hand in there.
Oh my goodness! It's Square Enix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thought so, man.
So.
But yeah, so that's my 2 cents on Final Fantasy VII remake. I'm super excited about it, but it's going to be a long time before we see the whole game.
So, you know what I'm not excited about?
Yes, I've been waiting for this.
Fallout 76.
I told you. When I got the game last year, I told you it was a dog turd of a game. And I don't mean like a dog turd you could reach down and pick up with your bag and throw away. I mean, this is a dog turd that is slimy, and you step in it and it gets in all of the treads of your shoes and you can't get it out.
So I was like, I've been telling Rowdy, like, man, I kind of want to play it. I kind of want to do Fallout. Oh my goodness. And then they had a trial week, and they treated it as if that you were going to get to play the new single player update. They said it kind of backhandedly that it's not until the fall update. So I got really excited about this, and I decided, okay, I'm going to stream this and decide by the end of the week, is it worth $30?
BT dubs, you people should definitely check out those streams on YouTube.
Well, the ones that you can, because they got copyright stroke.
God.
Now, there's some interesting... I'm going to try to pull apart some of the stories, because honestly, the game was so boring and it was so not game-oriented. I spent more time on the streams, one, running away from random crap that was trying to kill me, that was way too high level.
That's most of the game that I've played.
Yeah. 2, figuring out how skeletons died and trying to treat it like it was a crime scene. 3, reading the notes in funny voices. My favorite one, though, was Retta, because I was starting to read this note and I didn't read who was the end of it, and I was reading it in a voice like this, and that it ended up being Rhonda and Retta, and she must have been smoking for like 40 years or something.
Yeah, 3 packs a day.
Oh gosh, oh my goodness. Anyway, so and then the last thing was telling stories about bees. I told a story, and
bees.
I hate bees. So, I was spending a lot of time keeping myself entertained rather than the game keeping me entertained. The interaction with the other people, which is a big part of this game, supposedly wasn't a big part of this game.
I didn't run... Well, there's only X amount of people that are on the server at a time. I want to say it's 20-something. But the map is so big, I rarely ran into anybody. And when I did, all they did was either give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and then started shooting me.
They gave me a thumbs down.
Well, anytime somebody started shooting me, I ran because I'm not good at PvP. And as soon as you fire back, then it becomes PvP.
No, thank you. And I don't have any bullets.
Exactly.
Man, it is hard to find bullets up in this game. And so they took Fallout 76, which is a single-player RPG.
The regular Fallout.
Yeah, in a first-person perspective, so Fallout 3 and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Turned it into a survival horror game.
Ugh.
Low on the horror, way too much on the survival aspects of it.
Yeah.
Put in random enemies that will straight up murder you at the drop of the hat. And when you murder them back, about half the time they're going to glitch out and float in midair. So you can't loot from them, I found out.
Ugh.
So it was a bad game. And the streaming stuff didn't really work out. Like, it would all constantly glitch. My first playthrough, I was like, oh, I'm going to play this for an hour. Or until the game breaks, I said jokingly.
So
That wasn't a joke. It died in 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, that was my introduction to Fallout. Now, graphically, I do like the game. I think the artist behind the game did a really good job. I talk a little bit about it in one of the streams, that they're using interesting ways they're building the trees. The trees aren't like built with a vertical design. They're like all these weird angles, and it looks very realistic. They move with the wind.
it looks a lot like
Looks
Fallout
great.
4. Like a lot of the assets were reused from that. It looks great.
Yeah.
But that can only take you
The
so
enemies
far.
don't.
Well,
The enemies, and if you get into places that are populated with a lot of buildings, it runs terrible. I don't know what it is, because it's usually places that are really not that well designed. I had gone to some sort of encampment, and it went downhill from there. So, was the game worth $30 on sale? No,
okay.
not yet.
I want to point something out about how the game is half off and it's $30 right now. I bought this game as soon as it came out, and I bought the deluxe edition. I spent $70 on this game, and all I can say about it is a slimy dog turd that gets stuck in the treads of your shoes.
But Todd Howard is sorry, and he's listening to you.
We're sorry.
We're sorry. This E3, we want to tell you we're really sorry for releasing games that are bad. So we're going to release an add-on to the game that's even worse.
Okay, so real quick, this Battle Royale, I'm done with it. I'm done with Battle Royales. Stop putting Battle Royales in
Kill
everything.
Battle Royales.
Okay, look, I know that Battle Royales make money, and there's a ton of people out there that play them, and I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people who pick up Fallout 76, what is it, Nuclear Winter, Battle Royale, whatever. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that play it, but I'm so tired of Battle Royales. Please, work on other single-player games, or even online multiplayer games that have good stories.
So right now it's Battle Royale games and Groundhog games.
I hate Groundhog's Day games. I hated the movie. I hate all the games that repeat over and over again. I won't play Minute. I won't play 30-Second Hero. I'm not going to play those upcoming ones. What is it, Deathloop and 12 Minutes? Mm-hmm. Not going to play those games. I hate Groundhog's Day games.
Well, sometimes you just want to get out of the new games that are just kind of being ground to death into your soul, and you just want to go and find some old games to play back before they just started re-releasing the same junk over and over. There's a lot of gaming collections coming out, and I can see why they're popular, is because they keep releasing mobile wannabes and battle royales. So that's been the big thing. Lately we've had the Collection of Mana. Pretty good collection.
So you've only played, what is it, Secret of Mana on that so
Playing
far?
Secret of Mana right now.
Okay, so what's the one that was only released in Japan that's now on there?
It was like Final Fantasy Tactics.
No, that was the first one. It's the third one.
Okay, Mana Collection.
Because it was Final Fantasy Adventure, I think is what it was called, or Final Fantasy Story.
We're gonna look it up.
And then the second one was Secret of Mana, and then the third one was Final Fantasy Adventure.
So it's Zelda Final Fantasy, basically.
So but the third one was something of mana.
Isn't that what they're gonna? The second one they're gonna release?
Trials of Mana. So I forgot to point out in our last episode that they're actually doing a remake of Trials of Mana.
Yeah, Trials of Mana is it? Yeah, it's a remake. It's not a second one, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a remake. So that's why they released this collection of Mana, because Trials of Mana it was never released in America, so they just now did it for this collection.
Yeah, and it looks good. I'm gonna do Secret of Mana first. I'll probably stream a little bit of it. I just got a good streaming setup going on. So I'll put some of that online so y'all can see what the gameplay is like. But it's a good collection. There's some good choices. And I mean, it's an emulated game. It looks like all the other emulators. They announced the Contra Anniversary Collection, which you're all about.
Dude, I've already got it. It's amazing. Contra 3, The Alien Wars, is a game that I played nonstop on Super Nintendo. Just the other day, I picked it up and played for like 2 hours. I love it. There's also the European versions of Contra games. I don't know if you know this. In Europe, the games were not called Contra. They were called Robotector.
Happy Fun Shooting Time?
Basically, they were Contra games that were reskinned as robots because they didn't like... this is before the ESRB, and they didn't like people shooting people.
Yeah.
So they made everything robots and aliens.
Fancy.
I mean, just a little tidbit there.
Yeah.
But speaking of that Contra collection, Konami also released the Castlevania collection, and I've been playing the hell out of that as well.
That's one I still want to get. I'm waiting until it gets a little bit cheaper, I think.
It's pretty cool, man. I went and I played that. I played, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. Like, that one was my favorite, just because it was so out there and different at the time. It was the first RPG I'd ever played.
And so Devolver is also releasing a game collection, but it's like, what was it called again? It's like a rip-off game.
It's their bootleg.
Yeah,
the Devolver bootleg, I think is what it's called.
Makes fun of bootleg games. It's pretty great.
Yeah, and it's like eight. I think it's 8 of their games. They're just bootleg versions. It looks awesome, man.
And then you have the NES Mini, the SNES Mini. You have the Genesis Mini that's coming out. You have a PS1 Mini. There's so many collections, systems, or games right now. And, there seems to be a market for it. I guess my question is it worth it to pick up the collection, or is it worth it to get either an old system or like a Retron 5, which plays a whole bunch of things, and purchase the old games? What do you think?
Okay, so my problem with trying to get the OG stuff is it is ridiculously overpriced.
Sometimes.
People know that there is a niche out there of people who want to buy these games. I've looked on a lot of websites. I've looked at a lot of resale shops around this area, and a lot of the games are overpriced just because the people that are selling them have heard the title before.
Right.
So, like, you have to think about it. Like, how many Super Mario Brother cartridges are there out there?
1 billion.
Exactly. It came with the Nintendo. So when I walk into a resale store and they want to try to resell me Super Mario Brothers 1 for $10, no.
Yeah, cause
that's not going to happen.
And they don't really, it's very hard for those to die. And there's no battery to save in there that you need to worry about or replace. Because you can replace some of the old game batteries. I think DK Oldies also has a service where you can send it into them. Also, it's usually way cheaper, like you were saying, for RPGs. Those are the main things that I'll go out and pick up a collection disc for.
Yes.
Because I would rather, honestly, get the old school one. Now, I'm honestly going to just put it in a Retron 5, which is an emulation system. But I'm very anti-piracy. So I at least want to have the disc. I won't go and put it on an emulator by itself. But RPGs are ridiculously priced. I don't know if it's just because they didn't sell really well, but Secret of Mana was one of those games I have wanted to play. I missed as a kid, and every time I see one in a local store, it's like $100.
You need to look up...
And it's cheaper on eBay.
You need to look up how much Earthbound costs. And then once you see how much Earthbound costs, look up an original unopened version of Earthbound and see how much that costs.
Oh, those are like $300. I've
Easy.
seen those. Yeah, it's wild. So I can understand why people are going out and getting gaming collections on discs and things. It's normally not for me because I do like the old cartridge. I like the nostalgia. I mean, I'm an old fart. I like things now that are old. I like being able to, one thing that's nice about some of these old cartridge-based systems, you used to be able to use those things as frisbees pretty much, and they will not die. That's what I really like about it. Nowadays, when you download a collection, I mean, your system's only going to play for so long.
Yeah.
Then if you lose it, you won't be able to re-download it later. I just, which I'll go into in a minute, I just got a Wii again, and they had an amazing virtual console system.
It's all down now.
You can't get any of it.
Nice.
So I guess that goes into my next thing. You got to be kind of smart with how you are getting your old games. If you're like me and stodgy and want the game in your hand rather than a collection. So some things that you can actually do to find some bargains that I've found. Now, this one isn't really me because we don't really do Craigslist in our area. But I know a lot of people that have Craigslist and look for their games like on there. I've seen some things. I think Spawnwave talks about how you can go on Craigslist and look for broken consoles if you know how to fix things and get them for dirt cheap and then fix them up. If you're into that stuff, I would probably do that.
Not me.
I'm a nerd and
I prefer collections.
I like screaming at my electronics. Apparently, you can all we have a website that's not really a personals page, but it's a Craigslist like thing that I usually get cheap things on. Resale shops, you go into pawn shops and stuff. Be careful which pawn shop you go into. Some of them get a little sketchy. But usually you can find good cheap games in there. And pawn shops, though, to me, they tend to overprice some of their games, I've found.
Yeah.
A lot of the resale stores, like your GameStops, we have a place called Second and Charles that's big. Some of the other vintage game collections, they really want some money for their games. So I've had better luck on more classifieds. And the big one that I had recently, I was so happy, flea market. Yeah. So we have this big monthly flea market kind of thing.
It's a market where you go and you buy fleas.
Yes, you buy all the fleas. No, I'm surprised there are no fleas in this stuff.
Gross.
Actually, that is one thing I worry about whenever I get stuff is like bed bugs.
Ugh, gross.
Because I've heard horror stories about them in gaming systems. So usually I need to take apart these things I just got now that I'm thinking about it. Gross. Yeah. Anyway, I've wiped them down and I've cleaned them off, but now I'm thinking, what if there's bugs in it?
Gross.
Anyway, so I recently got a really good deal at this flea market. Basically, it was the last day of the flea market, so we kind of had time things. It was hot. I mean, you're talking heat index of 104 that day, I think. It was something stupid. It was like 93 degrees out.
Welcome to
Texas.
Texas.
It was humid, I think it had rained the day before, so
everything was steamy.
Turns into a sauna.
And not in a good way.
Yeah. So, last day, and they're just trying to get rid of their stuff. People are starting to leave. That's a really good time to swoop in, by the way. You want to go during the first day and see what's out there. See if anything's worth the price. Then come back and swoop in before they leave if it's still there. Unless it's a must-have. So, they had this big bag of electronics, and sitting on top of this big bag were 2 Wiis. And it said on the Wii like $29.95 because it looked like it was a pawn shop Wii.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's the price? Is it, it says $29.95 on there. You know what? I give you the whole bag for $30. She didn't really talk like that, but she does now.
Nice.
And I didn't even look through it all. Like, there was so much junk in the bag. I put it on our Twitter page whenever I got this in. And
there's a cheese grater and a bag of meth at the bottom.
Not a bag of meth, but there was a cheese grater. There was a freaking cheese grater in there. So in this bag, and I made sure that there was a electrical outlet there. I said, "Hey, can we plug these up and can I make sure it lights up and spins the disc?" And so they did. So I took a bargain on it, which $30 is a bargain, man. Brought it home. I had 2 Wiis with all the cables needed.
Nice.
Had multiple Wii controllers and nunchucks. I still got to take them apart though, because some of the batteries in those things definitely had a rough life. So I've got to kind of work on that and clean up the systems. And it had an Xbox 360 controller.
Okay.
It had random like remotes. It had a weird glittery hat, cheese grater, and wires for things that I didn't know existed.
Wow.
But it was $30, so I threw out that other crap and kept the Wii's. I've tried them both. I've worked on them, and they're great.
It's awesome.
So I got a converter for HDMI on the Wii, and I'm going to use that. So the next thing I got to get is like a Wii U. But otherwise, so yeah, if you're looking for bargains on old game consoles, man, be an old person and go to these old people gatherings where they give away things and sell things. Just saying, go to flea markets.
Don't buy the fleas.
Don't buy the fleas. Don't get fleas. Don't get bed bugs. Stay away from used furniture.
Man, so you talk about this Xbox 360 controller. How do you feel about those Xbox controllers?
Okay, so
they're one of my favorites. I mean, not
the
top of my
360.
list,
I haven't used it yet because I don't have an Xbox 360, and I don't know if it connects to my PC. I just haven't taken it apart.
Okay, so you have to have the dongle for an Xbox 360 controller to work.
Worst name for anything in the world.
I have the dongle.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can connect up to it's somewhere between like 4 to 8 controllers with one dongle.
With one dongle.
But the new Xbox One controllers
Will it hook up with a USB controller or thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try it. Because it looks like a wireless one because there's a little battery pack thing in the back.
Gotcha.
But I haven't gotten it open yet.
Okay.
It was kind of stuck. I'm kind of think this bag of electronics might have gone through Harvey. I'm not sure. Some of this stuff is kind of questionable.
Harvey is a really bad storm that hit us.
Yeah, if you ever want to be under 5 feet of water, that was Harvey.
It was Waterworld for us out here.
Yeah, straight up. Mel Gibson was out there on a raft.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Man,
now,
but,
we weren't fighting over oil. Isn't that part of it? I do remember during Rita, though, kind of an aside, I stayed out here after Hurricane Rita. And Rita, nobody could come back for a month, but my dad was able to come back in.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother-in-law was a sergeant and for a police force out here. And we were able to come back in and live without electricity for a month. Oh, boy. But I remember we would get gasoline, and we had to filter the gasoline.
Okay.
To put it in our generators because the gasoline was just so nasty in the tanks after Rita.
It also got a lot of water in it.
Yeah. So Rita was tough, man. We had it was just tough in general. Harvey was tough. Rita was tough in its own way. Anyway, but yeah.
So you could use this controller for your Xbox Game Pass, right?
So what I actually use is this fancy little dongle right here.
You nerd.
I use a Wii U controller adapter. I've had this for a long time. And it mimics an Xbox controller. Like there's an X input setup.
Okay.
Or you could treat it like it's a regular PC controller. And it's really nice because it takes the... Let me grab my controller. There we go. It actually flips the buttons for you. So whenever it says B, it's the actual B button.
Okay.
So I like this. This is why I still have my Wii U Pro controller without a Wii U.
Dumb.
It's because I play. So I don't know if I'll ever use that thing because this works really well. I prefer the controller stick placement where they're both up like this at the top. It's more comfortable to me. I am finding out though, like the little points in the back of the Wii U controller are not as comfortable on my fingers as the Pro controller, though. But that being said, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to see. Who knows? I might resell it. I might just put it here to sit forever.
Do you think the Game Pass for just PC is worth the $10?
Oh, speaking of gaming collections, now there are services. Yeah, we were going to talk about that. Okay, so PC Game Pass is something I'm trying out. And I have been playing a couple games on it. I've got a couple downloaded. Like, I always wanted to try ReCore, Battle Chasers. There's a bunch of cool games that you can get on it. Wolfenstein 2. And right now, honestly, Game Pass is worth the $10. But
Okay.
but it's $1 a month right now.
Yeah.
And until it's out of beta, because it's in beta right now, it's only $5 a month.
Okay.
So right now, it is straight up worth it. It's going to be $10 a month in the future. They are going to rotate out games. and you have a certain percentage off that you can purchase the games for while they're playable.
Okay.
So I kind of like it, that idea. I kind of don't. If you're a person that like plows through PC games, it's great service. I think it's going to be worth the money in the end. You're $120 a year to play a plethora of games. It sounds cool. What I don't like, though, I am a PC gamer, but it's so hard with Windows 10 to get working surround sound on anything. Unless you have a special hookup to a graphics card or a sound card. I've tried piping it through my TV and surround sound systems. I've tried about 10 different configurations. And I cannot get surround sound through it.
Sounds like user error to me.
No, it is not. It is a very well documented problem. I've even gone to places like Tom's Hardware online, which is always like where you want to look for your stuff for like troubleshooting. And it is no bueno. Now, I can put on headphones and get a surround sound.
Okay.
Easily. Not hard to do at all. But then, like, I got to have headphones at my giant arse TV. Whoops. Anyway, giant TV, and it doesn't really work for me. So that's the only thing that really holds me back from really liking PC games in general. I normally play RPGs or strategy games and stuff on the PC, but if I'm going to be, like, enveloped in a world, I want it on a console. Which, if you have an Xbox, the Xbox Games Pass is great. It's $10. Now, if you spend $15,
you also get Xbox Live
and the PC Game Pass.
Yeah, well, I like my audio like I like my communicable diseases.
What's that?
Mono.
Oh, God, alrighty. Worst joke of the day. That's
yes.
Beautiful. So, for those of y'all that don't remember what monorail was, that's whenever it only comes out of one speaker. Which, I guess that's probably more common nowadays.
Yeah,
because of cell phones. Cell phones usually, like a lot of them, only have one speaker. So, a lot of people are listening to mono.
Yeah, I at least do stereo unless I'm on headphones. Then I do, like, what is it, the virtual surround or whatever.
Oh, yeah, virtual surround is scarily good nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So
I did that for the Resident Evil 2 remake, and it really scared the piss out of me, man. Like, it really sounded like stuff was above me whenever somebody was stomping around.
Now, I have, like, a wild setup for my TV. I don't know if I've ever shown you it, but I have a...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have, like, a 50-foot cable for audio to come from my TV or surround sound system or switch all the way to my couch. Because I'm a crazy person, it goes around the wall so you can't see it. Anyway, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be really important whenever Project Scarlett comes out. And I think that's going to be a big part of me really thinking really hard about Project Scarlett, because I'm getting to the point to where my PC is not playing games as nicely as I want it to. It's starting to have a hard time with it. I think, a lot of times the consoles, they can do a lot of low-level programming to these consoles because they know the hardware. And you can get a lot more out of a console as a gaming developer than you can on the PC. Because PC, you never know what equipment you're dealing with.
Well, and also, like, on PC, I actually do... it's well documented on this podcast about my PC setup. But I always start every game on low settings. Mm-hmm. Well, I say low settings. The lowest I'll go is 720p with about medium graphics. And then, I'll play the first few minutes and just up it every few minutes until it works. Because I play on a laptop with an eGPU.
Yeah.
But
a laptop switch.
Man, I love consoles more than I like PC, man.
It's a lot easier to get in the games, too. Like, there's a very niche amount of games, or a small grouping of games that I'll play on a PC. I'd rather play on PC than console.
You're not part of the PC Master Race?
No.
Yeah.
And, I hate hearing the PC Master Race thing. Because it's not. It's just like a hodgepodge of various games that you can get, and usually they're a little off from the console version. Sure, you can spend $2,000 and get a better looking version for about 2 years, or until the next console comes out, but what are you going to do with it otherwise? And that's where I'm at, the point to where the hardware on computers is so good right now that I keep a good PC for graphics, for illustration purposes, for advertising or graphic design, because I do that on the side. But I don't really need anything like what I have is going to last me probably another 5 years before I need to upgrade. So when the next Scarlett or PS5 comes out, why do I want to go spend $700 on a new PC whenever it's going to be obsolete soon and I'm not going to get all the games and I'm not going to have as good of a time?
Yeah, I'm getting PS5.
Okay, so that's where we're going to go next. What is better? From what we know, Project Scarlett versus PS5. So here's what we're looking at as far as the CPU. They are both running off the same custom AMD Zen 2. It's an 8-core system. They're both pretty much using a custom AMD Radeon RDNA. AMD is all up in the war right now. Now, the other one, Switch, is NVIDIA.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see everything go AMD at the moment and Switch going NVIDIA. NVIDIA obviously is working better with mobile architecture, where these guys are working more, I guess, strength. Move thing like a bull. So they both put out similar video output from what's been leaked. They're both using solid-state drives. Now, the Xbox Scarlett says new generation SSD. They're probably going to be about the same. They're both probably using GDDR6 RAM. So they're going to be very similar, is what it's saying.
Basically, what I see when I'm looking at this comparison chart is they're pretty much going to be the same system.
So what is it going to come down to? Your
preference in first-party games.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to be able to play... And I think this is where the argument is going to happen next year. Do you want to be able to play a PC/console combo? Or do you want to be able to play a console that has Sony's exclusives? That's where it's at. Because right now, and you got to think about it, the Xbox Scarlett is also going to be, though, pushing the xCloud stuff.
Yes.
You know, PlayStation 5 isn't really pushing that. It sounds like there's going to be some sort of remote play, but I don't think they're going to be on the same level as a Google Stadia or an xCloud. So that's going to be, I think, Microsoft's sort of card to play, is you're going to have more versatility. You're going to be able to play a lot of your PC games through the Game Pass as a Netflix gaming style service. I think that's going to be a smart move. And if I can hook up a mouse and keyboard to it, which they obviously all do nowadays, why do I need a gaming PC?
But here is where I sit on the deal.
What?
I'm obviously getting a PS5 because I prefer
yeah.
God of War over Halo.
Sony fanboy over it. No, I'm joking.
But at the same time, if everything that's coming out on Xbox is also coming out on PC, why do I need the next Xbox?
Is it, though?
I mean, they're basically putting it all right now.
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say PS4. Okay.
No.
But here's the thing. With your eGPU, are you going to be able to play those?
I mean, I may upgrade my PC by then.
See, I'm just not in that market. I think that's what it is. I'm definitely geared towards... I've got to upgrade my PC a long time from now. My setup is great for what I need. I think I'm more in the market for Xbox because I want to get into 4K gaming. 2020 is going to be the time. You know, we got about a year.
Yep.
I think I can hold off that long. So I think I'm honestly looking at a Microsoft system, and that's weird to me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they bought up all the companies that I like. That's another problem. Man, they have Obsidian now. And I know they're releasing for PS4 and stuff like that. But you know it's going to be a little bit better on their home console.
A lot of the studios they bought right now are also releasing for PS4, but that's because they already had these games in the work prior to being bought. After that, I'm pretty sure they're just going first party.
First party PC and Xbox.
Yeah.
And with the $15 a month Game Pass of Doom that they have, the Ultimate one, that's a good sell for me. I'm already seeing how good of a thing it is for $5 a month. 15 is going to be right on the money for me. And I bet they'll make it cheaper if you pay for it a year in advance.
The only thing holding me back from the Xbox is how they're trying to push this Project xCloud.
Mm-hmm.
I am 100% against streaming video games. I mean, I'm not a fan of Google Stadia. There's nothing you could do to turn me on to Google Stadia. And Project xCloud is supposed to be basically the same thing. Now, at E3, I have seen comparisons of how fast xCloud is compared to Google Stadia. But the problem is with that, every Project xCloud video I've seen, whether it is on whether it's somebody filming them playing a game on a phone or a laptop or whatever, is that every single thing on there, even including the phones, had a hardwired Ethernet connection.
Yeah.
That is what bothers me about the Project xCloud videos.
But let's think about it this way. If you get an X Scarlett, and you have it hardwired in, is going to be worth it. And that's where it's getting tricky for me, because I don't like the idea of streaming. I don't really think it's going to work.
Well, the point of streaming is I should be able to play it on anything, and it runs the same. But I can't run it the same from my TV as I could, say, on my tablet when I'm in the bathtub.
Well, see, I don't think the streaming architecture is going to work. There's too many places, there's too many random variables, and I know the second that I am being forced to pay for a service to play video games that are supposedly better looking than what I can get, because they're going to play it on something that's the equivalent of a $2,000 system, and then it starts getting at 480p or obviously lesser quality, I'm going to feel cheated.
Yep.
The second I start getting lag, I'm going to hate it. It's going to be so frustrating. It's going to feel, to me, I think, like playing a game that's just poorly coded and skipping. And that's what I think is going to happen. And, I'm just not that excited for it. All this cloud stuff just hasn't made it yet. It might work in the future, but I still don't see it. There's too many variables, especially in the U.S., where we have such a large area in different places with different internet capabilities.
All of these internet companies, as soon as you have something like xCloud or Stadia that comes out, all of these internet companies are going to try to change over to data plans instead of unlimited.
Yep.
And Stadia, you can push a terabyte a day.
And that's kind of scary, because even the streaming in 4K isn't as scary as some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's gonna be nasty. And then they're trying to push 8K.
I'm out.
I don't
right now.
Okay, I've got a 4K TV. I've got a big 4K TV. I don't see the need of 8K right now. Like, I've seen some big 8K TVs with. I just don't see it even in this next generation.
I say that I'm not down with 8K, but at the same time, when Nintendo 64 came out, the first thing I thought was, video games will never be better than this. We are at the pinnacle of video games.
I'm not on that. I'm talking more from a physical standpoint of what our eyes can understand and interpret. I think a lot of the processing power is not going to go to making it higher resolution. I think 4K is a pretty good stopping point for a big screen TV, unless you're playing like on something the size of a wall.
Yes.
After a certain point, the resolution, the dots per inch or pixels per inch, you can't comprehend. So I'm kind of iffy about that one. I don't think they're really going to push 8K too much. Now, I think you're going to get a PS5. I'm going to possibly get an Xbox Scarlett.
Yeah, I'm doing PS5 no matter what.
All right, so I guess we're at our... oh, man, we still got fake news.
Oh, snap.
Oh, okay, so fake news?
This is one of our news sections. We've only tried it out. I think it's our second time.
Yeah.
It's basically just rumors.
So, fake news. Big thing that's coming out is that Nintendo Switch is going to have a new console. There are some reports of Chinese manufacturers that are talking about a Switch Mini and that they're on the lines being created. What hasn't been said, though, is if in this rumor, if it's an only Chinese thing, because there are certain things that have already been released or in the works for China, where it's like the Tegra X1 systems, the NVIDIA Shields, can play certain Nintendo games, whereas they have these special permissions. So I don't know if it's something like that, or if it's actually something that's on a production line to be released here. I would imagine they'd announce for this thing to happen around Christmas time.
So basically, it may possibly be a Switch that's just for the China market, because I mean they just recently got into this market.
Yeah.
That's why on that last Pokemon Direct that they had, they did a lot of it in, or they translated a lot of it to Chinese because they're just now getting into this industry. Now, here's a downfall. If they start producing one in China, you're going to have to pay a lot in import taxes to get that thing.
Well, they're already. I think they changed that deal though.
They better.
Yeah, no, that was actually recently. They've worked out something where they're not doing the imports.
They freaking better.
Well, they'll just bring manufacturing hopefully closer. I think a lot of just kind of getting. I think what's going to end up happening if they do run the tariffs in China, they're going to move it to Indian production.
Okay.
Because my dad worked overseas. Just knowing those areas, they tend to use a lot of Indian workers in other countries too. So India does have a manufacturing base, and I think we could actually see a lot of our stuff moving from China as we're getting definitely more unfriendly with China and some of the restrictions they're putting on some of the companies and things like that, and moving a lot of manufacturing over to India. So that might be something that changes too. Another thing is that there is, according to XDA developers, now I found this on Nintendo Live, but I had to dig down the rabbit hole and found my old friends XDA. XDA is an Android, or really I guess mobile-centric developers group online. I used to use it back whenever I was, the term was crack flasher. And it sounds terrible, doesn't it?
Sounds like it'll put you on lists.
It does, doesn't it? But it just basically means you would put different ROMs on your Android phone. So, like, you try out a new one a week. So I used to use them a lot, their message boards a lot. But they have found on a recent, usually whenever there's a new mobile device being tested, it ends up on a database on a benchmarker. And it sounds like there's been some sort of refreshed NVIDIA Android TV kind of X1 chip, the Tegra X1s, in a new chipset that is pushing more GPU power. So that's exciting, but it could just be an NVIDIA Shield refresh because they have those released. But what they normally do is they release the NVIDIA Shield first. That's what happened before this. They released a new NVIDIA Shield, then they released the Switch. So you'll probably see, I think, the Pro Switch coming out. I would think probably whenever Zelda gets announced. That's really where I'm thinking. I think the Mini is going to come out either this Christmas or whenever Animal Crossing comes out.
Yeah.
Then the Pro is going to be for Zelda so they can push a little more power.
As much as I would love a Pro, I still think it's a bad idea.
Oh, no, not me.
I want one so bad.
I want this monster behemoth bad mother of a Switch dock that I can just put in. And, I wouldn't even care if it's literally just hardware with the little toaster port to pop in the Switch, and it really doesn't do anything inside the Switch. And it just maybe transfers data whenever you finish with a game. Because I want something to run some of these games. Because they're already running these things so scaled down. And they're built with scalability in mind. Yeah. That I think they could really take these games like Wolfenstein and all these other, make them look great. To me, that's what I want. I don't know if it's feasible. I think a Switch Pro is more likely to where you have a new tablet thing that's more of a new 3DS style.
Okay.
That'll just have better battery life and just a little bit more power. Okay. Next set of rumors or fake news. Zelda is going to have Xant in it. Not sure if that's true, but that's things going around.
Love Twilight Princess, but Zant was kind of annoying.
Yeah, Zant was annoying. Next one. Short-haired Zelda means co-op.
So I could kind of understand this, because they wouldn't have to do new hair animations if it was shorter.
Yeah, but if I seem to remember, a lot of the long hair animations in Zelda weren't necessarily dependent on having their own animation. They were more of a physics-based thing.
But from what I could see on here is it looked like her hair was just braided.
Yeah.
So definitely wouldn't have to have as many new animations. They could definitely port over a lot of the assets they used for Link.
All right, and the last Zelda fake news is that Monolith Soft has a bigger part in it than the last Zelda Breath of the Wild. So Monolith Soft helped them come in and basically do world design and stuff like that, because they have a lot of cool little tricks for world design to make it look lively. But they were looking for a new artist here last year, and they'd released some screenshots or concept work, of a new game. And everybody was thinking, oh, it's going to be a new Xenoblade or it's going to be a brand new series. But there was a Game Explained video, I believe, that pointed out whenever you zoom in on a section, there was a Triforce in the background.
Dun dun dun!
What? So, there is a chance that this is a more Monolith Soft driven product. And I think some of the darkness and the way that it was laid out in the video of the new Zelda kind of hints at that a little bit. Now, I know we've seen darker Zeldas in the past, but something here just seems different to me in a good way.
Yeah.
So, other than that, though, I mean, that's as far as all the fake news I can think of right now. So let's go ahead and go to the final topic. Game genre reskins. Should you do this?
We had a little too much fun coming up with this.
We did.
Because we just started talking about, how Fallout 76
is terrible. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's a Fallout game, and it looks like a Fallout game, but it's basically been reskinned as an MMO.
And the thing is, they just keep reskinning it with other things. So, well, actually, it's a game, and then they reskin it on top with the Fallout 76 aesthetic. What just happened? You had a new game genre. You had Fortnite that has a Fallout 76 skin on top of it. Then, what are they going to do next? They're going to do more to this terrible thing. This poor, mistreated automaton at this point.
Dog turd.
So, what do you think would be the next Fallout?
Man, look. So we have a long list here.
Fallout 76 dating simulator.
Yes.
They did Fallout Shelter.
Yes.
I mean, so, and then they have the Elder Scrolls universe. That's what they've been playing with lately instead of making us a new Elder Scrolls game.
It's never going to come out.
I know. Now they gave us Blades, which is like chop game, just chop in certain directions.
It's good to waste time on your phone if you're bored.
Then they have an Elder Scrolls MMO, which isn't horrible, but it's not what it should be.
Yeah.
Now, the game company that I think does this right is Nintendo.
Of course you do.
Oh, yeah, of course they do. But, I mean, look at the Mario series. Now, Mario, though, has a history before they really started going with the reskins of different genres. If you look at Super Mario, OG Mario with Donkey Kongs and stuff, then, well, they went to OG Mario, which is the arcade version.
Then they went to Wrecking Crew.
Yep. Then they went to Donkey Kong style. So these are completely different styles. Okay. Then they went to Super Mario Brothers, which is a side-scrolling game. Then they went to Super Mario 2.
Oh, God.
Is it Doki Doki Panic or is it just Doki Doki?
No,
I think it's just Doki Doki.
It's Doki Doki Panic.
Okay. So, which was a reskin of Doki Doki Panic. In America, Super Mario 2 is different than Japanese Super Mario 2. Because Super Mario 2
was getting way too hard for us.
Yes, and they just call it the Lost Levels now. Then they have Mario Brothers 3, which is still a side-scroller, but it is a little bit different. They add some new elements to it. But then they started really, like, they had Yoshi's Cookie. They had
Tetris ripoff.
Yeah, which is a puzzle game. They had You know, they had what? Mario Lost in Time, Hotel Mario.
Those were those were so much. So now
They
that I
had
think about
tennis,
it,
which was just Mario characters in tennis.
but so the tennis ones have been good. Like what was it? Strikers was good. The party games have been good. But then, like we said, there was Mario's Lost in Time was bad.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
a turd. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I love playing as Luigi, but not that way. And then Hotel Mario, that was actually a Philips CDI game.
Mm.
So what else did Philips CDI do? A whack-ass trilogy of Zelda games. Look, man,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen anything about these games, but I watched a lot of the Game Grumps when they played them.
Oh, man,
Dude,
they're so bad.
It was so hard to watch, man. Luckily, they were cracking jokes and stuff the whole time.
Yeah.
But these were terrible, terrible lines. Like, voice acting was awful. The audio quality was awful. But the fact that they turned these Zelda games into side-scrolling turds. Basically, it's like they tried to make Zelda 2, but failed.
So I think what's happened is, we do have a history of bad Mario reskins.
Yes.
I think they've learned from that over time. And if the game doesn't work out, I mean, there is a history of Nintendo just throwing it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what Bethesda needs to do at this point. Like, at this point, they're just releasing a game just to release it. Now, that being said, Nintendo has the luxury of being a console gaming company. Like they make a product,
Mm-hmm.
and they have other places they can go. Bethesda doesn't have that luxury. So that is one thing that maybe it is. But, you look at other companies, like Ubisoft has a billion Rabbids games at this moment.
I love the Rabbids.
I mean, they loan their stuff out. They worked with Nintendo recently.
Mm-hmm.
So Ubisoft has actually done some good ones. I can't think of any terrible ones. Microsoft has had a good... the Halo real-time strategy game is actually pretty legit. Sega just wants to be Mario.
Yeah, I think I've done a lot of Sonic things that were basically...
Yeah.
I did like some of the Sonic racing games,
Mm-hmm.
but everything else kind of meh.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's some just random ones like Battletoads and Double Dragon, which, I mean, Battletoads was essentially a Double Dragon-esque game.
Dude,
I think they should
crossover
add
was
Ninja
good.
Turtles.
That Battletoads Double Dragon crossover was good.
Yeah.
But they should make it Battletoads Ninja Turtles, but like the first Ninja Turtles game.
So at what point, like, what is the defining thing between a good reskin and a bad reskin? And I think what it is, they should work on the gameplay first and then skin over it secondarily. I think with the Fallout 76 game, no, I guess I'm really not convincing myself, because if you look at Fallout 76, they treated it like an MMO first
Well,
and let go of some of the Fallout.
a good way to describe
stuff.
like reskinning or,
Mm-hmm.
or basically making a game and then reskinning
Mm-hmm.
it is if you look at Square Enix, what they'll do is, obviously they keep putting out Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy games.
Right.
Basically, what they'll do is somebody will come to them with a storyline or game mechanics or something like that. And if Square likes those, then it can then become either a Final Fantasy game or a Dragon Quest game. I don't know if you knew that or not, but yeah, they just come to them with a story, and if they like it, they're like, all right, you can make one of these games. Because Square doesn't really put any other type of game out, not since like Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. So I was just pulling this up just to make Rowdy get off topic or laugh. So one of the funnier reskins, because there's a lot of interesting reskins on characters. If you look into mods, there's a Majora's Mask mod where they load a ton of textures with Nicolas Cage's face.
It's a nightmare.
It is so bad, like the moon is Nicolas Cage.
Oh god.
So speaking of ridiculous reskins, we've thought of some games that maybe they should make.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you are ready for this.
Oh, yeah. So, here are some terrible ideas for games that have been reconfigured, and we hope we don't see.
A Mario first-person shooter.
Why? Just to do it?
For the hell of it.
For the hell of it? Yeah.
I mean,
Mario needs guns. Wait, they just did that but it wasn't a first-person shooter. It was an SRPG.
No, he could use fire flowers and ice flowers.
No. Mario with guns happened in the Rabbids universe.
That's true.
See, that's been done, but it's not a first-person shooter. We need Mario Battle Royale. You remember Mario 128 demo? Where there's 128 Marios running around? We need a Battle Royale for it. They just try to jump on each other's head till they die.
I hate it.
Okay, well, what about a Rabbids Battle Royale?
Love it.
Why?
I would play a Rabbids Battle Royale just because they're running around going, wah, the whole time.
That'd be terrible. Could you imagine hearing 100 of those?
I mean, I'd play it for about 10 minutes, but it'd be awesome.
Now, it would definitely not be a stealth game. You'd be able to tell. I mean, especially when everybody's getting clustered in the middle, it'd just be, wah, tornado. The next one, I think, sounds delightful.
A Halo dating sim?
Halo dating sim? What's behind mask number 1?
Yes.
You never know what it's going to be. It's just a bunch of dudes, like, in their masks, you know? They could do, like a love connection, like, game. You know, like Suitor number 1. What do you like doing? I like long walks on the beach and shooting aliens in the face. Oh, that sounds nice. You know? The next one.
Oh, man. Okay. So this is going to take a little explaining.
Oh, God, Ronnie.
You're Sonic.
You're Sonic.
In an anime...
Now, are you really Sonic?
Yes, you're really Sonic.
Or are you somebody dressed up as Sonic?
No. You're actually Sonic.
Okay.
And so it's going to be a dungeon crawler, Diablo-esque game where Sonic is going to a convention that he thinks is just an anime convention to sign autographs, but is actually a furry convention.
Oh, snap.
And now he has to get out as fast as he can. And they've run out of chili dogs.
Good. Oh, chili dog jokes. Yeah. So that sounds scary as hell. And there would be different levels of furry hell, wouldn't there be? That would be it. Yeah. Next one, Sims, but Elder Scrolls.
So you're in your house. You know, you've got on your ridiculous armor. You're just cooking, and all of a sudden, a dragon catches your house on fire.
Whoa!
So now you're speaking Simish, freaking out because your house has now been caught on fire from a dragon. That'd be awesome.
That would be great. Speaking of cooking, I'd love to play Mortal Kombat Cooking Simulator.
Basically, whoever loses
dies.
Or
like, I don't know how you do this one. That could go really bad really quick, honestly.
You use the kitchen
This would
equipment.
not be a PETA-approved game.
You use the cooking equipment to kill them.
Murder people?
Yeah.
Each other? Is it like you're trying to, like, make, an omelet, but you're fighting at the same time? Like, how does a fatality work?
No. You just make the omelet, but whoever loses
gets beaten by the frying pan.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. I think it should be more set up, because they switch weapons and stuff in Mortal Kombat's now.
And fighting styles.
Yeah. Maybe your fighting styles and stuff affect how you cook. So it turns into a more like those cooking channel games.
A Mortal Kombat Iron Chef crossover.
Yes.
Crap.
That's what we need. All right. The next one is so terrible.
I hate saying this one.
Do you want me to say it?
You say it.
Grand Theft Bubsy.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop making Bubsy games. We're done with them.
Could you imagine Grand Theft Bubsy? Like, how bad that would be? Like,
Dude.
Would you roll down pipes of water everywhere? And it'd be at a water park, man. And you could steal, like, cars and drive them on the water slides.
Bubsy hasn't been popular since Super Nintendo, but...
And they try to re-release... Yeah.
They released one last year, and they have another one on the way. Get out of here.
All right, and what's our last game? That we really should have ended on that one.
Man, a Yoshi's Final Fantasy.
How would that even play? Like, turn-based Yoshi?
Sure. I didn't think that far ahead. I was just mashing stuff up.
Yeah, I don't think we thought.
It's kind of like that episode of South Park where they're making fun of Family Guy by saying that to write all their jokes, they have manatees that pick out balls. Yeah. That's kind of what I was doing with these
I think
games.
that's how they figured out Fallout 76.
Eh.
Just like a random number generator, and like if the number matches, you just kind of make that genre.
I think some more went into it, but not that much more.
Yeah. With that being said, that's the end of our show. Before we go further down this rabbit hole, if you have any ideas for games that should not be made...
This rabbit hole!
Oh, no!
Dun-dum.
Oh, gosh. Okay. If you have any ideas, share them with us on Twitter. By the way, follow us on Twitter at LamerGamersCast. You can check us out on twitch.tv/LamerGamersPodcast. We're on YouTube. We're on wherever you get your podcast at this point.
We're on iTunes now.
We're on iTunes. Nobody's listened to us on iTunes yet. We need more people on there.
Better.
Listen to us on iTunes. And yeah, next show, don't know what we're going to talk about yet. I guess we'll see whenever we record it. And you got anything else for him?
No, man, that's it for today.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for listening in, and we will catch you next time.
We're out.